Good afternoon. This is how we do Vail Pass after Snowmageddon. We are heavy. Well, not too heavy. We probably have a 38,000 pound load. So pretty close to being maxed out, maybe about 5,000 short. So we're probably 75,000, 74, 75. As you can see, this is still a pretty steep hill. We're sort of at some of the hardest parts of it, grade wise. When you throw that snow on the ground, and these truckers don't chain up all four axles. See, like, as slow as we're going, you need chain up all four because you were heavy. So they would have to keep their speed up as fast as they can, like we're doing, in order to keep that going, but all four and axle interlocked. When you're running slow and you're only running one chain, that's when you start to spin out, start slipping and sliding and spinning, and that's what those trucks were doing. And then a lot of people were just in their cars. The fact that they were going so slow climbing the hill, you're going to start spinning out, which, as you saw in that video, happened quite a bit. More so for the tractors, but there was a few four-wheelers that had that issue. I understand that you can't get your speed up, because I couldn't either when you're stuck in traffic like that. I didn't really clarify that, but at that time in that one video. But if there's nobody ahead of you, go as fast as you can uphill in a semi, unless, you know, if you're light in a semi, not in a car. If you're light, you know, you're probably could be going up the hill 55 miles an hour. You know, that's okay. But you better be understanding how to handle the vehicle to keep it from losing traction. In other words, if it downshifts, don't keep your foot into it, because you're so light that you'll spin out. And so the fact that you do have your speed going with you is a good thing. But when you're light, you could do we're doing 35 right now. So if you're light, you could be doing 35, like I said, if it's super cold out, that wouldn't have been happening. People wouldn't have been spinning out. That's like a California snow. I say that meaning it's warm. But if it was 0 or 10 below, they would have been okay with one set of chains on. There would not have been nothing like that. They could have been okay at 10, probably 10 degrees above and then lower. It probably would have been okay. But when you get that warm stuff and it was coming down heavy, it just grease. But if you're in a car and the road's wide open, I guarantee you that if that road was open, we would have gone straight up with that 4,000 pound load. I'm going to say I could almost guarantee that we would have gone all the way up that hill with just the axle interlocked, with no one else on the highway or blocking me. I don't care if they're on the highway, as long as nobody impedes it. We would have climbed right on up, because I would have kept my speed up. up enough to where I got to them sticky parts where the gravity is starting to pull you back now, and you're on the verge of breaking loose of traction. The fact that I would be going so fast forward that point really wouldn't materialize because of the momentum of the truck. And that's why I stress keeping your speed up as much as you can. Now, we got down to about 33 is the lowest speed that we got. Okay, if we had chains on, we're heavy, 75,000 gross. It's pretty close. That's only 5,000 short of the max. Well, you see, those guys are all split, spinning out because they were heavy. Well, they were going slow and they only had one axle chained up. You've got to do both in those circumstances. Now, if it was colder, like I said, they could have gotten away with probably one axle. But another way, you want to go as fast as you can. So the fact that you're so heavy, you can technically put your foot in it. Keep it planted to the floor. I use it as a drum beat sometimes. You're like, see, so that's just the pedal to the ground. You didn't notice any difference. But when you're climbing a hill, you sit there and do 10, 15 miles an hour because you're safe and you want to, it's dangerous out. You're going to screw yourself. You're going to put yourself in that position. When it's warm out, chain up all 4 of your drives. Interlock the axle and go up that hill as fast as you can. Put your chains on as tight as you can so that you don't hear the clank, 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 clank that makes you timid to go faster. And well, you really can't because it's starting to beat things up. You've got to put your chains on tight. And if a cross member is broken, find something to tie it off with so it's not slapping around. Tie it off to the side of the wheel with a piece of baling wire or a zip tie or something. You should always carry baling wire in your truck. But these guys having fun up here on the hill. And snowmobiling is a blast. Of course, I never rode because I'm a cripple. I've never I've gone out riding the high country, but I've ridden snowmobiles across the lakes, around town to go have a couple beers, and stuff like that, but never riding up into the high country like these guys do. Now, when I say go and have a couple beers, I'm not talking about going hammered drunk. Just going and having a couple beers, and then you're out on the lake. You still could get what they call a SUI. It doesn't affect your driver's license, but it affects your record, criminal record. But if you have a couple beers, just don't be doing nothing stupid, You'll be fine. But I don't know what the legal limit is for snowmobile. I'm going to assume it's 0.08. But at that 2 beers, you should not be over that. So anyway, this is one of the subjects. So back to that hill. If you are, like I said, if you're heavy, get your chains on tight, do all 4 because it's warm out, and then go up the hill as fast as you can. Believe me, I've had my chains at 50 miles an hour before. I think my highest speed was 55. And they're not designed for that. No, they heat up and they break. But if you got them on so tight, there you can do that. And I'm not advocating a speed of 55 miles an hour or even 50 or even 40. But if you're going uphill, keep your speed up as high as it will go, because you're heavy. You're only going to be able to go so fast. But we came up that hill 30, 35, went 40 a couple times. I'm not worried about the 40 a couple times, but if you just keep your foot into it, just because there's snow on the ground, we had chains on, we should have still been able to do the same speed limit, you know, and that's what I'm talking about, keeping it up as much as you can, you know. If you're really light, go a little bit faster. But if you have chains on and you do them right, you should easily be able to do 35. Easily. Now people go, oh no, you can't go more than 25. You can't do. Well, if you put them on the way you do, yeah, I probably wouldn't be able to go over 20. But if you put them on right, you can do 35 easy enough, safe enough, and you'll be just fine. You know, and what I do is my chains is I put them on, and then I roll forward about 20 feet, and I roll back 20 feet if I can. If not, I'll roll up 5 to 10 feet, and then go back, and then back to where I was, go cinch them up another link or two if I can, then drive it forward, make sure everything's all lined up, and then go, if sometimes you have to adjust the chains because they're riding a little higher to the edge of the tire than they should be, so move them around if need be, and then roll up forward back a little bit, make sure you're good and tight, turn the cam locks. The last cam lock should, I always do the bottom cam locks first. The reason being is you try to tighten the last cam lock and it's on the bottom, you're bending way over, you know, and you can't really get the leverage you need to torque that last cam because it is so tight. I've gotten my wheels so tight that I can't turn the last cam lock, you know. No matter what I do everything I can short of putting a bar on there, a cheater bar, you know, an extension to give me more leverage. But this is Copper Mountain here. I think I said in that one video Cooper Mountain. But no, it's Copper. And I know it, it's just misspeak sometimes. You don't know how much you misspeak until you record yourself and then play it back. If you ever want to know, I guess it would be good if you're in an argument with somebody, frickin' film it or at least record it. So you can then look back and instead of believing what you think you said, you can actually hear what you said. Now, one time I got a little bit hammered and I tried playing the drums, and my son was filming it. He was just messing around, and it wasn't too bad, but I did not like it. I didn't like seeing myself being drunk like that. At the time, I thought I felt fine, you know. But I look back now, and ever since I watched that video, I don't drink like that anymore. I don't get hammered. I still like to drink. I still like to have a few beers, you know. Even on my days off, I only drink 2 or 3 beers. I like to have a glass of wine with dinner, and I usually like medium rare, thick steak, seared, wood-fired if possible. You know, filet mignon or sirloin, T-bone, you know, I don't care any of those. But a nice Pinot Noir to go with it, or even a Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, more for like casually chit-chat drinking, I guess. But I like the red wines. A shot of whiskey now and then, or tequila. I don't care about that either. I mean, I will, but I try not to get drunk like I did that one time. I'm like, no, that ain't gonna happen. So anyway, that's just a summary of that trip. Try to help people out. If those trucks would have done what I just explained about in that hill, that we just went up Vail. We're 75,000 pounds, plenty heavy. It would be hard for me to, comment on it if I had a 10,000 pound load or 20,000 pound load right now. That wouldn't be fair. But we got a heavy enough load now that I can use those speeds that that we were cruising on, and base my opinion on that. So if all those truckers would have chained up all four like legally they were supposed to do, and if they had them chained up as tight as they could, which they should do, and then they kept their foot in it as hard as they could, which they should have done, I don't think you would have had anybody spinning out, really. And some of them four-wheelers that were going so slow and spinning out, they got caught up in the madness. If they were able to keep their speed at 35, 40 miles an hour, I wouldn't go lower than that. But if they could have kept their speed up in that realm, even if they had shoddy tires, not the best, they should have been able to go up and over. If you have really bad tires, you shouldn't even be anywhere near that mountain. So like my daughter, she has a little Volkswagen Jetta. They were out there in Denver, and they had my granddaughter, and I tried to buy tires for her car before they left Grand Junction. And I go, I just want to make sure you have the right tires. That way I know you're okay. And then, her boyfriend is a conservative driver. So, we didn't get them because they didn't have... Volkswagen and Audis come with a locking wheel. And then they came out with a set of keys for the locking wheels. Well, I had it all set up to have an oil change done and put new tires on that car. They couldn't get the tires off because they didn't have a key for the lug nut. And then my daughter had one, but the last time she had tires done at another tire company, I won't name them, but they apparently kept the key. So there's probably a set of about 20 keys per Volkswagen lug nut key set. So I got her down to Denver, and it was hopefully, maybe as a last resort, maybe you could pull the VIN and the dealer would have the key, but hopefully they would have it and not have to order it, because they were headed back to Grand Junction and it was going to be snowing. So this one dealer, he goes, oh, we don't have a key set. He goes, oh, hang on. He goes and looks, and he found one, but there was like 4 keys missing out of it. And I'm like, man, they all look the same. So we tried, and he goes, well, this is probably the last one I think it's going to fit. And bingo, it fit. I'm like, cool. So I called the dealer, and I go, give me 4 lugs for a Volkswagen Jetta. I told the dealer, leave that key off. Do not put that key back on, that locking lug nut. So he's all right, sir. So right after we got done eating breakfast, went to go pick up the car, swung by the dealership, picked up the brand new lugs, put them on. Now anybody can take the tires off, but my Cadillac has the same thing. They're just regular lug nuts. But I bought her Blizzaks. And yeah, it's overkill because she lives in a desert community, but she comes to Denver a lot. So why Blizzaks? Well, we just went over one little hill, and we're fixing to go over another little hill. And as you saw in that video, my daughter, if she was up there with my granddaughter and they were in that storm, they would have had no problem gaining traction, no problem stopping, no problem gaining traction. It would still be, you would still have to be cautious. You know, they're not a sure-all. The lake is nice and frozen over. Dylan Reyes. It's not a sure-all. You still have to drive with respect for the snow, but the fact that you're respecting it with the right tires, you're going to be just fine. So you can have all the skill in the world in shitty tires, and you're not going to be doing good at all. And you can have Blizzaks, one of the best snow tires available, and be a crappy driver, and you're actually still going to be doing okay, just because the tires are that important on a snow situation. So we'll call this good. So see, what I used to run around in the hills. I've done these hills here because I helped, companies out here when I worked for waste management. So you go up into these hills. Well, all those roads, not all of them, the south-facing roads are melted, but most of the other ones are all snowpack, and it's that way all year round. So I used to admire people who got to stay on the highway. Man, you get to stay on the highway. I've got to go 4x4 with a 50,000 pound truck up in the hills. But one thing about it is that you start to learn a lot about snow. That's the cool part. Anyway, I just want to give you a different perspective of exactly 1 week later, Saturday to Saturday. We left Grand Junction at 9 o'clock and made Denver at 5 p.m. Today we left 9 o'clock and the time is 11:50 a.m. So I expect to be in Denver by 1:30. This is going to be another dry hill. We'll fly right up it. No skier traffic coming home till about 2:30 on. You'll start getting congestion. And we just lost what the heck you call that thing? Dash cam. So I'll have to hang that back up. So until we meet again, pay attention on the road while I'm doing that. We're all clear. Nobody around us except guys coming up the left. 67 miles to Denver. So thanks again for riding shotgun with Mountain Man Mike. I'm going to keep cranking out the videos. Till the next time, enjoy. Peace!